you're talking about the land.
Right.
I thought you were talking about Joe Mancini.
Ready?
And it's a cold weather like they used to.
Ready there?
Yeah, all set,
Okay.
yep, right?
Good evening, board members and residents. I'd like to call to order our regular board meeting for Monday, November 23rd, 2015. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Witt, will you please take the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Batanti.
Here.
Mr. Brado. Here. Mr. Capral.
Here.
Mr. Tominelli.
Here.
Mr. York.
Here.
Mr. Witt. Here. Mr. Verkust.
Here. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. Board members, there was a discussion regarding item 4 on the consent agenda, and I think at this time we would like to remove that from the agenda and table the budget amendments till a future meeting. So we'd be looking at a consent agenda including the approval of the regular board meeting and public hearing minutes of November 9th, 2015, approval of the bills in the amount of $936,853.95, approval of the October 2015 revenue and expenditure report, skipping number 4 as it's removed, or is proposed to be removed. Item 5 is approval of the 2016 meeting calendar, and approval of the Michigan DEQ Community Public Water Supply annual fee in the amount of $5,237.59.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, removing item 4.
All right, we've got a motion by Mr. York. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Capral.
I do have a question for Mr. Spencer real quick.
Okay.
Does the revenue and expenditure report reflect the items that we would have done in item 4?
That's from
And-
October.
I'm not sure what you're
Okay,
saying.
never
I
mind.
didn't adjust the budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's not
great.
adjusted.
All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, board. Next on our agenda is the approval of the regular agenda. I did not hear any amendments, so if there are none, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the regular agenda as presented.
so moved.
Is there support?
Support.
Got a motion by Mr. York with support by Mr. Patanti to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion, board members? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next on the agenda is announcements. A few announcements. The township offices will be closed for Thanksgiving this Thursday and Friday, and the offices will reopen on Monday, November 30th at 8 a.m. For those who might have a Thursday scheduled pickup for your waste, at Thursday's pickup will be Friday, and Friday's pickup is Saturday. So those that pickup will be delayed by one day. A habitat restoration and invasive species control project is ongoing on the Clinton River Spillway. Residents are being asked to avoid the area due to health and safety concerns. For more information, you can learn about the project at the township's website, harrison-township.org. The Harrison Township Christmas tree lighting is scheduled for Tuesday, December 1st at Rosso Memorial Hall from 7 to 8:30 p.m. That's next Tuesday. Canned food donations will be accepted for those in need. And for information on all these and other township events, you can call the supervisor's office at 466-1445 or visit the website harrison-township.org. Are there any other announcements?
I do have one.
Okay.
The tax bills, they're at the printer, and you should be receiving them in your mailboxes December 1st.
All right.
I see people in the audience are happy about that.
And those are payable up till February 14th?
Yep,
Yep,
February
about-
14th without penalty, and February 28th is the last day that we collect taxes here in the township before they go to the county.
All right, great.
Just a little elaboration on the Christmas tree lighting. It does start at 7 o'clock
And the Lands Cruise Choir and band will be there. They're quite good to listen to, so please show up. It's a free event, and we do have cookies and hot chocolate, and Santa will be there as well.
All right, good. Just a clarification, the 14th and the 28th are both Sundays,
It'll be Monday.
so it's Monday? Okay, I thought so.
Yep.
Thought it worth clarifying. Good. All right, yep, and the event is always good, and Santa Claus will hopefully be there, so we'll look forward to that. Okay, next on the agenda is item B, approval of the 2016 Harrison Township Library budget. And we have some representatives from the library board and the library director here, so we'll open up the floor for you guys.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. My name's Dan Hutchins. I'm the director of the Harrison Township Public Library. Library Board Treasurer John Gaber, the Township Finance Director Glenn Spencer, and myself worked together to prepare the library's budget for 2016. The budget in the amount of $462,474 was unanimously approved by the Library Board on October 19th. The budget for 2016 will allow the library to easily keep its commitments to the Harrison Township community while handling taxpayer funds conservatively. The library achieved many things in 2015. We expanded our hours from 22 per week to 40 per week on August 3rd. We launched the Overdrive downloadable ebook and audiobook service on August 17th. We began offering children's programs 4 times a week on October 10th. And we added the ability to request books and videos from other libraries. The library is actively researching potential new services for 2016, including expanded electronic offerings for, including free downloadable music, expanded remote access to research tools for students, and home delivery of library items for the elderly and infirm. So, thank you for your time this evening.
One thing we'd like to add is, we only have one item left as a board to complete as far as promises made, promises kept, and that's, we're looking at that for 2016, and that was that home delivery program. We're looking at some options where we may be able to offer that to some shut-ins and people that just can't get out to the library. Other than that, the library in its first year has met everything that they proposed that they would do as part of the millage agreement, so, and still kept well within the spending limits.
Excellent.
Any
Okay,
other
thank you.
questions?
Are there any questions for the treasurer of the board and the director?
I just have an observation, and Mr. Gaber clarified it, but for the record, I was just looking at the salary of our director, and the difference between 15 and 16 is simply a matter of the timing.
One was a placeholder this year, and
Right,
this is
and
the
one was the
actual
agreed upon
budgeted number.
salary,
And
for
we
the
didn't do a
record.
budget amendment because the bottom line wasn't gonna change.
Right,
anything, so.
but I just think it's important to indicate that that was the agreed upon salary. It's not, you
It's
know.
not a raise, it's
not
not
a
an
raise, right.
increase.
Thank you.
I've been using the downloadable magazines on my iPad through the cooperative.
Great.
It's great. It's, I think I'm spending less on magazines next year.
Well, you should try the downloadable ebooks and audiobooks too.
I'm gonna try that next. Yeah,
Yep, and then maybe we'll offer some music along with that in 2016.
that's great.
Excellent.
Thank
So just a real quick question, paraprofessionals, what does that represent? Just out of
You
curiosity.
can answer it, or I will, either one.
Well, certainly, the paraprofessionals, that's actually not labeled correctly. It should say librarians, and that represents our Assistant Director, Melissa Goins, and our Youth Services Librarian, Julie Dries.
Okay. So it's
We
two
only have
people.
one full-time employee, and that is the director. Everybody else is on a part-time status. So that's been, the board has been pretty adamant, the library board has been pretty adamant of sticking to that right now, so we're in good shape.
All right.
Thank you.
Guess I'll make a motion to approve the 2016 library budget.
All right, we've got a motion by Mr. York. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Brado. Any discussion, board members? Hearing none and seeing no public comment?
Nope.
Oh, is there public comment? I'm sorry.
It's more along the lines of a question. I'm looking under group health $38,959 and only $6,000 for the 2016 proposed budget. I'm wondering what the difference is there, why that's off so much. And the other thing is, under library materials, is the adult materials, children's materials, and electronic resources, those add up to be comparable to the 40,000 in 2015, I assume. So I'd like an answer to that also. Other than that, I guess that's all I have for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comment?
I'd like to comment on.
Oh, no, I would like to provide an answer, and I think you're
that's
the one to do it. I just want to make sure that we don't have a back and forth, or is there any other public comment?
I'm sorry, Ken.
Yep. Hearing none, we'll close the floor for public comment, and I was gonna invite you up to be able to answer that question. Thank
The
you.
healthcare issue, that again was a placeholder. Somebody threw a number at it. When we actually negotiated the contract, that 2016 is the real number, okay? And the other 40 grand that we divided up, it was strictly for budgeting so that the director and the other librarians have a little better control of where they spend their money and on what programs. So we took that placeholder and we divided that up into 3 different categories.
Okay, and I see it, the placeholder was 40, the total is 51,325, but
But
in
we had
either
an
case.
increase in some of the programs that we wanted to do, but
Yep.
that was a better way to manage the business.
But I can't imagine as at least from my perspective, as a library, I can't see how somehow we would be frustrated that you'd be spending money on materials. I guess that's the purpose of a library, so, no complaint there, just clarification, so good,
Okay.
thank you. All right, any board comment or discussion? Hearing none, we've got a motion by Mr. York with support by Mr. Brado to approve the 2016 Harrison Township Public Library budget. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, board. Next on the agenda is item C1 regarding the approval to purchase 5 sets of firefighter turnout gear from First Due Fire Equipment Company in the amount of $10,021.90. This was an item brought by the chief. Chief Lopez, could you comment on that? Tell us about it.
Certainly. Good evening, board members. Each year in the fall, we do annual inspections of all of our firefighters' turnout gear to check for the condition and ensure that it's in a usable condition. And any gear that's in need of any kind of repair is sent out to be professionally repaired. And what we're encountering now is due to the age and the wear on some of the sets of gear is they're coming back as non-repairable. And so we're at a point where we have to purchase some new sets of gear to replace gear that they're just refusing to repair because of the age of the gear and the condition and the extent of damage. So for that reason, I along with the help of firefighter SAR, secured quotes from 3 different companies that supply turnout gear, and we're recommending to purchase 5 sets from First Due Fire Equipment, which is the low bidder.
Make a motion to approve the purchase of 5 sets of firefighter turnout gear from First Due Fire Equipment for the cost of $10,021.90 from the fire fund. Support.
All right, we've got a motion by Mr. York with support by Mr. Tominello. Any discussion, board members?
Out of all of the equipment, probably turnout gear ranks right up there, right up there with the breathing apparatus, right?
Absolutely.
It keeps you alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Chief, do we have a regular schedule of replacement, or is it as needed? Or do we, I agree, this is critical, so is this something that we're gonna replace 5 a year, or is it, what?
Well, ideally, the NFPA standard is the lifespan for a set of turnout gear is 10 years.
Okay.
But now that's not a law or MIOSHA enforced, it's the NFPA standard. We do our best to ensure a primary set of gear for the firefighters that's close to that, but not all of our primary sets are within the 10-year window. When they start getting to that point, that's where we send them out and have them assess to see the state of the condition as to whether or not they can extend beyond that point. So We're currently not in 100% compliance with the primary set of gear being within the 10-year window, but some of the stuff that we're replacing, the sets that are being replaced right now, I know one or two of them are from like 1997, actually.
Oh, wow.
So, is it just the age, or is it, would the newer gear have more advanced technology that would provide more protection? I'm just curious.
Sure.
I don't object to it. I'm just wondering,
Well,
I
sure.
mean, do we need to more aggressive in terms of replacement, as Mr. York said? I'm just wondering.
Absolutely. It's a great question. And the answer is a little bit of both. The specifications do change, and that's one of the reasons behind the NFPA's logic of a 10-year lifespan, is that they want firefighters to be in the state-of-the-art equipment, and when you get beyond 10 years, sometimes you're second, third generation of technology behind. So that's part of it. And then another piece of that is just degradation of the gear over time. You know, their studies have shown that repeated washing of the gear, the more times that it's washed in the commercial washing machine, because it has to be washed in a special washing machine, after so many washings, it starts to degrade in its protective nature. And so, for that reason also, so it's a little combination of both of those. And then your final question are, we definitely, like every other item on the fire department budget, we have significantly scaled back at how aggressively we are replacing the gear. So 10 years ago, gear wouldn't have been in the department from 1997 to 2015. But so we've certainly had to slow the replacement process over the last 5 years. So we're hoping that in the next few years to start catching up a little bit and modernizing the firefighters' gear.
Thank you, Chief.
Maybe as a follow-up question to that, one is, there is a process that you go through to have the equipment evaluated and potentially any repairs or improvements made to the equipment,
Correct.
right? And then, to follow up to Mr. Batante's question, this purchase of 5 new sets of turnout gear isn't the end. So we're likely to see some, perhaps next year during the inspection process, you might find that there's some additional sets of gear that are up for replacement.
That's correct.
Okay.
I guess, Mr. Supervisor, and I'm certain I speak for most of us, if not all of us, is that I wouldn't want to see, I mean, of all the things we spend money on, I would rather, and I'm sure you agree, I just
Absolutely.
would say that we'll err on the side of caution, and if we need to spend a little bit more money on protective equipment, then I think we'd all agree that we should do so. And I'm sure you will. I'm just
Absolutely.
asking the question.
No, absolutely.
And then my question probably was driven maybe a little bit more based on, you've got First Due is based out of Mason, Michigan, and Apollo Fire Equipment is based out of Romeo. And it looks like their costs were very similar in the sense that, $10,021 versus $10,055. And I just thought it would be worth asking if is there any advantage to dealing with a supplier that's, a half hour away as opposed to one that has to ship their equipment?
We've actually purchased from both vendors over the years, and Apollo sells a variety of other equipment as well that we work with them and purchase from them. We've had very good luck, and we've also purchased our last 1 or 2 rounds of purchases have been from First Due. So we've had very good luck with both companies, and I'd say I'm equally comfortable with either one. So we based it solely on the low bidder.
Gotcha. So no real preference between one supplier. You consider them both good suppliers, but if someone's a little bit lower, you might as well go with that supplier.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll open up the floor for public comment.
And Jim Senstock, 31698 CN1. I have a question for the fire chief. At least a couple weeks ago or a couple meetings ago, there was some controversy concerning your hiring, and there was some allegations made that we, as in you, were not supporting the fire department as far as safety allegations and so on. So the question I have for you tonight is, has the union been involved in this process, and are they satisfied that the safety of the union fire personnel will be accomplished with this purchase? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the floor for public comment. And Chief, I think you'd be the only person in this room in a position to answer that question, so if you could,
Well,
please.
I don't know if I'm in a position to speak for whether or not they're satisfied, but I can say that Matt Sarr is the union vice president, and he's actually the individual who's had the direct contact with the vendors, and I've been working with him at securing these quotes. And that process started actually prior to that board meeting that Mr. Svenstock refers to. So Matt and I have been working on this project for some time, and I spoke with him right before I came up here today, and I think he's pleased with the purchase. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he's pleased with the purchase, and he's comfortable with the vendor that we're working with as well.
At least at a bare minimum, you're not aware of any objection on the part of the firefighters to make this purchase?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. All right, good. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we've got a motion by Mr. York with support by Mr. Tominello to approve the purchase of 5 sets of firefighter turnout gear from First Due Fire Equipment Company for the cost of $10,021.90, with the money to come from the fire department budget line item 206-000-000-977-002. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Board,
Thank you, board members.
and thank you, Chief. Next on the agenda is public comments. So we welcome comments from the public based on any subject. We ask that you limit them to 5 minutes in length.
Linda Karczewski, resident. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
We had a little white stuff this weekend, and it was here, and I have not seen anything on our little snow removal that I asked, I'd say about a year ago, even longer. I've brought it up. You did the, really fast, you did the fireworks ordinance and you did the lamp lighting ordinance that you didn't want. But here it is, the snow removal, and it is for the safety and welfare of the township. Can somebody please tell me what's going on? Because once again, they're gonna start shoveling that snow, or not shoveling the snow on the sidewalks. And, I'd like to know what's going on. Why nothing was done in over a year? Don't take that long. Thank you.
William Bardell, 18-year resident. I just want to remind everybody, if they haven't gone to SaveLakeSt.Clair.org and look under the facts, to do that. I also would like to talk about a Facebook page, Michigan Clean Drinking Water Alliance, and look under an article. This was dated Thursday, August 28th, 2014. This was in the Macomb Daily. Again, if you go to the Facebook group Michigan Clean Drinking Water Alliance, and the name of the article is Environmental Activists Call for Pollution Solutions. This is by Chad Selweski of the Macomb Daily. I'd like everybody to read that article, but I want to talk about last week, a couple weeks ago, there was a large photo op with our Macomb County executive, and $20 million was spent on planting plants to absorb human poop along our waterways, but at the same time, permits are still issued to dump into Lake St. Clair. What happened was, years ago, our new Macomb County cheerleader disassembled our a clean water board, and instead opened up another board, and it's going to be in this article. Again, the name of the article is Environmental Activists Call for Pollution Solutions by Chad Whiskey, and that's on Facebook, and that's Michigan Clean Drinking Water Alliance. And what happened was this board, this water quality board, was disassembled, but there's a new secret board that they have that promotes recreation along the waterfront. And there's a lot of issues with the water, and you got professors from Oakland University, Linda Schweitzer, an associate professor in environmental chemistry at Oakland. There's low levels of pharmaceutical and industrial pollutants that can be hidden by that human waste in Lake St. Clair. You also got Carl Friedman of Wayne State University, biology professor. Officials should be worried that viruses in the discharged water and toxic versions of bacteria known as mycosis, I can't pronounce it, mycosis, is to be all in the article, is going to be in the water. Doug Mortz was on this clean water board, and they were checking the water at the discharges. Also, in the 90s, Oakland County officials balked at spending $950 million to separate sewers in the 14 communities that rely on the 12-town drain. Instead of $950 million to separate the sewer water from the rainwater, they spent $144 million to expand the retention basins, which still don't do anything. And again, from my analysis and what I've seen, there's no real-time validation that this water is being partially treated. I've seen videos of these different sites that they put the bleach in when it stinks. Nothing about putting the bleach in to neutralize it for the safety of our lake or our Clinton River. If you're a marina or if you're a tackle and bait shop, you can scream up and down and say, don't talk about it, sweep it on the rug, under the rug. No, let's take care of this situation with our lake that we're getting dumped on. How would Oakland County feel if we pumped sewage in the Orchard Lake and all their little lakes out there in Oakland County? I urge everybody to read this article. It's on Facebook, the Michigan Clean Drinking Water Alliance. And read it. Environmental Activists Call for Pollution Solutions. We got cheerleading in this town, in Macomb County, and we're still permitting and giving permits to dump in our lake. I don't call that a blue water economy. That's a brown water economy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Senstock, 31698CN1. I noticed that that you removed the 2015 budget amendments from the consent agenda. The question that raises for me is whether or not the fire department has money to continue operating at this time. You indicated in those budget amendments that you were going to loan $180,394 to the fire department. So the fire department doesn't need the money right now. They're still operating with money that's out of their own budget and not out of the general fund. Again, I'd like to know where that's going, since you guys put it off and you didn't say when you were putting it off to. So, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment, we'll close the floor for public comment and move back to board comment. Try to address some of the comments. There was a question about the snow removal ordinance, and the statement was made nothing was done in a year. actually, that isn't true. I know that I saw, some of the work that's been done, and I think there were some minor revisions to it, but I know Planning Commission was working on that, so Mr. Tominello, perhaps you could address that.
Sure, Mr. Verkest, thanks very much. We have a regulatory ordinance relative to snow removal. We did complete that a few months back. Rather than bring it to the board, we wanted to run it through our legal, staff. So we got that back a few weeks ago. I'm waiting for clean copies, and I should have that on our next meeting agenda to bring forward as a regulatory ordinance.
Okay, so, hopefully at our next meeting, we'll be in a position to adopt that ordinance.
Yes.
And I think there were also some changes to, maybe, from what I saw, maybe some changes to the, noxious weed ordinance to go from 12 to 9 inches, something like that too.
And also, I believe waste.
Yep.
Waste containers.
And the solid refuse,
Yep.
container, ordinance as well, so. Which is something that, another resident's been asking about, so hopefully we'll be able to address that at the next meeting.
Yeah, you know, when we do those regulatory ordinance, we always have to run it through legal, just to make sure that we have the right verbiage and,
All right, good. And then, a question was asked about the fire budget, and, as a matter of fact, a week from today, we have a workshop, to, discuss the findings of the, Fire, Services Assessment Committee, which is likely to lead to, some discussion and some required action on the part of this board. We did not state, that the budget amendments would be back at the next meeting, but that's certainly my intent, to bring that back. And in addition, and in no small part, the reason is because this board needs to take action specific to how we address that deficit, for 2015 and potentially for 2016 as well. So, as opposed to merely adopting the amendments, which I want to make sure that we understand, Mr. Spencer works pretty hard to bring those amendments as is needed from time to time to adjust the budget. So I don't know that we have necessarily a concern that his numbers aren't good, but I think there's a need for the board to take specific action so as to address how any shortages are handled and where the funding comes from. And there are a couple of different options, and it's really a board decision. And Mr. York correctly pointed out that the appropriate way to handle that isn't just in that budget amendment. It was my intention to discuss that after we had a chance to have the Fire Services Committee, and I apologize, I didn't catch that, so I'm glad that you did. But we will talk about that at our next meeting, the first one in December, or the only one in December. Any other comment?
I just want to wish everybody a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there support?
Support.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries, meeting adjourned. Thank you, board. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep. Don't eat too much. Patrick.